Hello, my name is Prosper and welcome to this front end web development course. Being here shows that you have interest in becoming a web developer, a front end web developer someday, and this is something I'm going to help you achieve. First of all, I want to appreciate you for being here, and I'm going to be taking you through the process of the entire front end web development course. So this is our Visual Studio Code, and this is where we are going to technically be writing all our um, codes. The Visual Studio Code is a text editor that has been designed for you to aid your coding process. So this is where we are going to be writing all our codings. But first of all, let's go by having an understanding of what front end web development is and who is a front end web developer. So, what is front end? Everything you see on a website, like buttons, links, animations, and more, were created by a front end web developer. It is a front end web developer job to take the vision and design concepts from a client and implement it through code. Everything on the page from the logo to the search bar, buttons, overall layout, and how the user interface with the page was created by a front end web developer. Front end web developer are in charge of the look and the feel of the web page. Now, what is this saying? What is front end technically? Front end is for I to just explain this in a very short form. Is everything you see on your web page, the front of your web page. When you open a web page or a website, everything that is before you is called front end. Everything you can see, everything that is being visualized is called front end. And let me see if I can. Let me see Facebook. Okay, let me just use Jumia. Jumia. Now this is the user interface for Jumia, and all of these things we see here that is just before us, before your screen, is called front end. All of this is just called front end for the user interface. It's called front end. From the search bar to this button to when I hover my mouse around each of these, you could see the little reactions we are getting from all of this. This is just the job of front end, and it is the job of a front end developer to design all of this. So front end web development is just everything you see on a website interface, and a front end web developer is someone who builds all of this that we see. When I click on this particular bar, you see it takes me to another page showing me the visualization of another page that has been built by a front end web developer as well. So it's a front end web developer's job to actually, make all these things come to life, visualize all of these things. So it's just as simple as that. Now let's look at what skills you need to become a front end web developer. There are basically three skills that you need in becoming a front end web developer, and this is HTML. You need CSS, and you also need JavaScript. And HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML displays the contents on the page like button, links, heading, paragraph, and links. You should not use HTML for styling. That is what CSS is for. So let's go back to our web page. Looking at all of this text right now, this is just HTML. So HTML literally just gives you the structure of the web page. All of this you see here, all of these writings you see here, the search button is a job of HTML. Now let's look at what CSS is. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS is responsible for the style of your website, including color, layout, animations. So let's go back to this particular Jumia website and look at all of these styles we are looking at here. Look at the colors. You can see the colors. You can see some of the styling of this web page. Now this is just simply the job of CSS, cascading style sheets. So CSS has been used to style all of these. And of course, you see this hover that it changes the color when I hover around any of these is also the job of CSS as well. So CSS technically gives your website a form, gives your website a form. Then let's look at what JavaScript is. JavaScript allows user to interact with the web page. Example of JavaScript can be found in virtually any web page. For example, when you click on the menu button at the top of the page, it would open a drop down list for options. Every time I click on that button, it toggle back and forth between opening and closing the menu. Now let's look at this. Which of these has, okay, let's look at this now. When I toggle around here, you could see the drop down. We have a drop down here that's brought out other options here. This is just a JavaScript actually makes your website responsive, that a user can, navigate from one particular page to another page. When I click here, you could see there are drop down of options that I can use, and also you see how I can as well move around all of these. This is just the job of JavaScript. So using having to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can actually go ahead to start building simple web pages or websites. So this is something you can accomplish, and through the process of this course lesson, this is what I'll be helping you to achieve as well, teaching you HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And like I said initially, all of this is going to be done in our Visual Studio Code as well. That being said, to make you have an in-depth understanding as well, if you are still not really clear, let me go and show you what I have done with a guide of Great Stack. I went ahead to clone Facebook. And I'm going to just show you this in a literal form using my Visual Studio Code as well. Let me come and open this with my Visual Studio Code. I'll also need to open my style, so that styling is for CSS, right? As we said, CSS is, it helps you to style your entire page. So this is my Visual Studio Code, and this is where I have written all my code. So this is, whatever you see here is just what has been translated into all of this you're seeing here. So you can look at this. This is familiar to you because this is the popular Facebook page homepage. And looking at all of this has been achieved through series of code. And let's look at these particular codes that I've written for this. When we look here, you don't need to worry yourself about all of these. You don't need to get confused about what you're seeing right now. We are going to get to this level in the process of this course, right? But I just want to show you something. Now this is my style. This is where I have styled my CSS file. This is where I've styled everything you are seeing on this particular web page to make it in this form and make it look this beautiful. However, if I disconnect my style, because both of them work hand in hand, HTML and CSS work hand in hand, as well as JavaScript. But when writing your HTML, you have to connect your style sheet to your HTML in order for it to, you know, be translated in the form you already see on our web page. But unlink I want to unlink my style sheets. Let me just go ahead and delete this. So I've unlinked my style sheets, and I only have my HTML files here, my HTML codings. So when I go back to my web browser and I refresh this, you could see that this is how my HTML look. The entire page is just in a skeletal form. These are just pictures that I've downloaded from the internet, and these are texts. So this is what HTML simply is. It just shows you the text, the icons or the logos that you've that you've downloaded or you've added to your HTML work. It shows you the search button, and it also shows you the picture that you have downloaded as well from your for your HTML work codings. But then adding your style sheets, adding your style to this beautifies and gives your entire web page a form. I've linked that back, and I'm going to go ahead to refresh this, and now we could see with styling, that CSS, we could see how it has given this entire web page a form and it looks more presentable. All of this has been done with the help of CSS and HTML. Now, when we speak of JavaScript, making your website responsive, when you when I click on this, you see there is a drop down. This is just as a this is what JavaScript can actually do on your web page. When I click on this and I click on it again, you see the drop down goes back. When I click on it, it drops down. And when I toggle on this button, you see that my entire web page background color has been changed from white color to black color. When I toggle this back again, it is back and forth. When I click on see your profile, it opens a new page where I've also coded this particular user interface for you to see for the page that you've created for yourself as a user. And I can also switch this back to light mode, and when I click on this, it takes me back to my home page. So this is, you can achieve this having to learn these three skills alone, having to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I would like you to stay with me through the process of this course, and if you do that, I'll be helping you to walk yourself through all of these that I've just showed you, teaching you HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and helping you to accomplish building simple web pages or simple websites at the end of this entire course lesson. So stay with me, and I would see you in the next lesson. Thank you.